Hello, very warm welcome from my side. We will start with the second part of this year's design symposium, Intelligence Beyond Human. I would like to invite you all to join me when we explore the intersections of biology, technology, and design. So, why do we explore these intersections, and are there any intersections? I think these fields, at the first glance, do not really appear to be connected. But I think there are a lot of intersections and connections which will be outlined by our speakers today. And I'm really excited to welcome all of you here in this second part. The first part of our symposium took place at Innatura today, where we explored different formats created by the students as well as some of our speakers. And I think it was the first experiential deep dive into what intelligence might mean, what it might mean for different creatures, different entities, and also for us as humans. I think I would like to thank our collaboration partners now, because otherwise I will forget maybe. Thanks to Innatura and the Design Forum Vorarlberg, as well as other departments of Fachhochschule Vorarlberg of the University of Applied Sciences. Steffen Fink will give a talk afterwards. He's in the engineering department. And I think there's a lot of interdisciplinary potential at this university, because we're quite small, but close together. And we've got different research centers here exploring interesting emerging technologies. So I also want to thank the audience and the students who engaged in the activities and also who contributed with their formats. Questions about the future are too complex to be explored by a single discipline or a single perspective. So designers, researchers, and philosophers each contribute in very different ways to solving future challenges or in addressing future challenges, because addressing challenges always starts with asking the right questions. So it is only through this diversity that what we call collective intelligence emerges. Knowledge that is generated through exchange, even to ask the right questions and to combine multiple viewpoints, can lead us further in addressing complex issues. This brings me to the central question of this year's design symposium. What is intelligence, and above all, how does it manifest? Is it natural, artificial, or even distributed? So bees, ants, we've heard a bit about it today, and plants all display forms of collective or adaptive intelligence in different ways. So are machines actually already smarter than humans? And what risks arise when we automate more and more processes and make decisions based on data analysis and pattern recognition? Steffen Fink will discuss whether machines can really think, and the plant cognition scientist Paco Calvo will give us an insight into planta sapiens, so the plant intelligence, and he will share fascinating insights into this topic. The Design Symposium also demonstrates how design can help to shape developments in artificial intelligence by creating spaces to critically reflect on technology and envision desirable futures. One example is Nadia Piet, founder of the AI X Design Collective and an advocate for the slow AI movement, or also a small AI movement. She argues for accessible and sustainable AI models, and will also give us an insight into alternatives to resource-intensive systems. How can we design not just for the world, but with it? Guillaume Chancheflesh introduces a more than human way of thinking and presents strategies for moving from human-centered to multi-species oriented design. So why did we bring together all these people? I think it's interesting how they frame the notion of intelligence. So we will gather different perspectives, and this is why I want to start with a question: what and how is intelligence for you? Why is it important to understand multi-species intelligences and to understand AI with these perspectives? And I would like to ask you, what do you consider as intelligent? What are the traits you would outline if somebody asks you, what is intelligence? Please open the Menti questionnaire, and you can answer this question by yourself. We will have a look at it later when we come to the discussion. We are interested not only in what intelligence is, but also how it is, and is it natural, or do natural systems have intelligence? That's one question we ask, and I would like to start to take a brief look back into history. So this diagram created by Charles de Boule in the 15th, around 1510, is a diagram that illustrates a humanist conception of human virtues. And it shows that plants are considered as the second lowest form of existence. So there's a hierarchy in this diagram, which shaped the perspective on the Earth, the planet, as well as societies up to now. So we can see that, for example, a stone simply exists, a plant lives, so it's a bit livelier than a stone. An animal feels, so the animal is like the representative of the affective realm, and the human understands intelligit. So the human is the creature or the entity that is able to have cognition and a mind. So the idea that there are life forms superior to others is centuries old. The question now is how this way of thinking influences perspectives on technological development. Do we anthropomorphize technology, attributing human-like qualities to it, and like domesticating it with associating human traits with it? So there are a lot of smart systems and smart technologies, and the question is, are we denying other living beings' intellectual capacities? The bias can shape how we design and interact with technology, making it seem more like us or even superior to us, while overlooking the intelligence of, for example, non-human species, and reinforcing a human-centered approach in innovation and knowledge systems. So if we always put the human at the core of our design endeavors, this might result in the very consumerist perspective which we have now, and for precisely this reason, a perspective that places more than just the human at its center, such as the post or more than human perspective, is essential today. It allows us to understand developments surrounding AI, not as an isolated technological advancement, but a part of a multifaceted network connecting nature, technology, and society. So this is where we are today. We try to connect the different disciplines only by thinking of intelligence in relation to diverse forms of life and organization. We can truly grasp the potentials and risks of AI in a holistic way. So, yeah, I think what Dana Haraway refers to as nature culture is quite suitable for the current state of socio-technical development, because nature culture emphasizes that, contrary to still persistent ideas of technological development, Earth, humans, animals, plants, machines, and ecosystems are always mutually shaping and shaped within ongoing networks of interaction and exchange. So this mutuality is something I would like to highlight in my talk now, because I think technology such as AI can also be referred to an ecosystem on the one hand, and is always inseparably linked to other systems. So knowledge is always situated, and all knowledge emerges from semiotic and material conditions that give rise to a specific gaze, which Haraway points out. So this specific gaze is the way we look at things, or things we make visible, or other things that we hide. And I think this is the potential of design, for example, to open the black box and reflect on technology or other socio-technical systems in a way that people can understand what is going on. So I think observing the observer is one approach that art-based research chooses, for example. So to use mimesis as a strategy to explore ways of thinking, and maybe also highlight the construction process of, for example, socio-technical systems. So I think in this context it's very interesting to think of different other forms of intelligence. How can we understand processing? So I think moss is a very interesting organism to understand what intelligence might mean in a systemic point of view, because mosses can be regarded as superorganisms, and this highlights their emergent properties. So, for example, they have this ability to form a mat, and there is not one moss, it's always a collective of moss plants. And this aligns with ecological views that stress this community-level adaptation and collective resilience, observed within various natural systems, but also among human communities. So in this case, I would like to show you a project where we collected different shapes of mosses and really tried to explore the potentials of technologies of observation, where we address this aspect that these technologies are always creating images which are approximations. It's not possible to really gather the image or the perspective from the living being itself. In this case, I think this leads to the core questions of post-humanist thinking, which are really deeply integrated in our curricula. So we always try to question boundaries. Where does the human end and where does the non-human begin? Are there distinctions between natural and artificial, organic and technological, as clear as we once believed? And to acknowledge the agency beyond the human. So I think Paco Calvo will dive into this field afterwards and show us that plants have a type of agency. So non-human entities, they can really exhibit a type of, can be agents or actants, as it's called in actor network theory. So if you think of rivers, robots, or fungi, these can all be non-human entities having a kind of agency. And the last point is that we should also rethink ethics and justice. So maybe we should give a voice to non-human entities as well. This brings me to the concept of this symposium, which is also mixed with elements of an exhibition, for example. We've got these three parts. On the one hand, we explore coexistence. So how do living systems organize themselves? Which types of collective behaviors can we observe? And when does it start to be referred to as an intelligent system? The second part is the co-evolutionary part. So we wanted to explore how socio-technical and biological systems coexist and co-evolve. So we cannot separate nature from culture, which is also this romanticized idea that there is an untouched nature we do not want to tackle. And the third part is the collaborative part, so design as a relational practice. How can design help us to create a dialogue between different other disciplines and to tackle this potential of interdisciplinary collaboration. So I think we developed a few principles within the course of our study program, where I drew out two of the principles we integrated, which also have to do with radical shifts incited by post-humanist thinkings. These principles are also called principles of systems shifting design, and I just took out two of them. We created four, or we gathered four principles. So the first shift is this, rethinking design beyond the human, which challenges the traditional notions of the human at the center, which we saw at the beginning. I think Superflux is a very good example for a design approach which tries to envision potential futures or preferable futures. They create these immersive environments where you can really enter a future where, for example, the city is greener, and you can also smell and hear the atmosphere. In a way, you can really explore the atmosphere. The second shift would be this shift from design then nature to nature then design thinking, where we could also draw on the principle or the technique of mimesis, which is also known as biomimicry, but I would frame it a bit broader, where you take the biological systems as an inspiration, or you learn from these systems and discover natural models or strategies, for example. So moss again, our collection of moss, I think, this is a super organism where we can learn from, but today we also learned a lot about bees, for example, about their way of communicating, but also ants, for example. And the question is, how does it link to, on the one hand, the observation of artificial intelligence, or what we subsum under this umbrella term of artificial intelligence? I think it's very, very crucial to take a closer look at these developments in terms of which biases are replicated, who is represented in the development of technological systems, who is asked who has got a voice in shaping these systems. And I think we could make epistemic things, as Reinberger calls it. So if you make epistemic things, you really try to understand things and shape it by observing it in detail and also experimenting with it. So I think this is also the approach of research through design, for example, where we design things, understand things by designing things, and then iterate models, prototypes, and learn about intersections, connections, and dynamics. Once again, so for example, Gaussian splatting is a technology that has recently gained popularity, but I think it's also very interesting in terms of how do we represent nature. Is it an object which is there to decorate our studios, or is it really an object of knowledge where you can understand interactions or frame interactions in a new way? So this brings me to the metaphor of vegetal storytelling, which we explored in a project, because I think it's very interesting to think about intelligence in relation to creativity, for example. Where is the distinction between creativity, intelligence, but also agency? So I think this is an aspect we can discuss later on. I think Michael Mader outlined it very interestingly in his book about vegetal agency, that the stories about it is about the stories about interactions among plants, their collaborations, their collisions, the collisions of plants with bacteria. So I think this is what we can discuss later on, maybe with Paco and all the other speakers, what distinguishes intelligence from agency, or how is it interlinked also with cognition, the way we see things, the way we are able to observe things. So, for example, Gaussian splatting made us able to observe objects or the environment in a more detailed way, but does it really help us to understand the dynamics that are happening? So I think for me, intelligence is more like a process. So from a process philosophical perspective, intelligence is an ongoing dynamic process rather than a fixed property. So it's not I am smart, but more I'm performing in a smart way, or I'm solving one issue in a smart way or in an intelligent way. So intelligence is also continual change, so adaptation, which we find in plants as well. It's relational interaction with the environment, and intelligence is also experiential, so emerging through events, creativity, and learning. And intelligence is also shaped by context, embodiment, embodied learning, and networked relationships. It evolves with new situations. How do I deal with new situations, or how does an organism cope with new situations? So, on the one hand, it's really an embodied thing, so something you experience and you sense, so it's also related to your affects. It's embedded, it's always contextualized, embedded in a situation. It's enacted, so the way you perform and show your ways of solving problems, for example, to other people and discuss it with other people or with other organisms, makes it intelligent, and it's also extended. So maybe you can convey your knowledge or the insights you gathered to someone else, so then it's really proliferating. It's more like a practice. So in the foyer, you can experience one installation where we worked with mosses and AI, and the question was more like, how can we merge with mosses? How does it affect people interacting with an installation where you become the organism, or you become an entity with the installation? So in terms of experience design, how can we use these technologies to enable people to maybe develop an interest for a topic or engage with this type of technology? Also discuss about it, be interested in how it works. And I think this is what it really incites, getting in touch with new technologies and exploring the potentials. And this is also what explainability means. So explainability, considering AI, is not that we really understand every technical detail, but it's more about helping people to interpret and gain access to AI in a narrative, interpretative way. So in other words, AI is not only a technology, but also a story. So the narratives we create about AI will also shape its further development. And this enables us to critically examine AI from a hermeneutic point of view and connect it to other stories available in culture. I think, Nadia, you will also dive into this field a bit more in depth. So I think this is what we're going to try to do this evening, and we will continue with a recap of our workshops.